It's a couple of days later and our glue is all completely dry on our plugs we've done on the front and side here, and where we've done our back plate here as well. So we're going to cut everything off and start to sand it down smooth and see if we need to use any more filler or anything like that. So we're just going to take a flush trim saw and just lie it against the body and just cut off all this excess waste here. So we're just going to take our sander here and we're just going to go over these plugs and our little sliver of wood we put in here and sand them down smooth, and we're going to do the same for where the output jack was and our plate on the back, and we'll just try and get them down nice and smooth, and again check to see if there's any gaps that are going to need to be filled again after this. So that's our pieces sanded down. You can't really even feel them, kind of just there where our two plugs were in our sliver of wood. And on the back here where we've put in this piece of spruce, again you can't feel any of the edges or anything like that. We've just done a rough sand on it because we have a few more bits to do. We're going to do our control cavity on the other side, and then we'll give it a final sand and get it up to a nice high grit before we prep it for primer and then paint. We've decided that we're just going to paint this a solid colour, that just because there's a round over on it already, and because of this arm contour here, it's not worth our while trying to put a veneer on and then try and get binding in and that kind of. So what we're going to do is we're going to match this forearm contour on this side. We're going to put it over this side as well, and we'll match this interior rib cage carve here. We're going to do another one on the inside here as well. And as I said, we'll probably be overlapping the seam here, but you're not going to see it once it's painted. Our little piece of wood we added in here to make sure that there was something for the screw to bite into. That's nice and solid, and we've just used a chisel to trim that down flush. And again, this will all be painted, it won't be seen. So what we're going to move on to next is we're going to see what we're going to do with our controls on the new left-handed side that we're doing, so we can shape our cavity to make sure we miss this contour on the inside and on the top as well. So I'll probably keep it to just something nice and simple, you know, just our pickup selector and a volume and tone control, just to keep things really easy. We're still thinking at the moment about what we're doing with this middle pickup. If we have it, we do need to keep the blade 5-way switch, and I just prefer kind of a 3-way toggle selector, so we might fill that in as well. We're thinking about it, but we're going to get our parts together just using bits we have lying around for our volume and tone and our pickup selector, and while we're doing that we'll decide what we're doing with this middle pickup. So we're thinking of something like this for our controls. We've got our volume, tone, and then our 3-way selector. We're going to go with a 3-way selector because it'll take up less space than a long 5-way blade switch would. It also means we're avoiding the carve which just starts here and the belly carve on the underside which kind of goes along here. So it means it gives us a nice flat spot to work off when we're trying to cut out a control cavity to put all these pieces in. And we had the bridge in with the vibrato arm in place, and it doesn't interfere with any of them. So that means we are going to fill in this middle hole, and we'll have to re-drill through again just to let the wires pass. So that's the next thing we're going to do, is we're going to source a piece of wood to go in and fill that. It might be a bit difficult to match the contours of the curves here, so we'll get it as close as we can, and then we'll just use filler or something like that to fill in the rest. So again, what we've done here is we've just cut out some scraps of wood, some Adele we cut in half, and just a little block of poplar there. So they all seem to fit in pretty tight. There's a few gaps around the edges, but we're just going to glue them in and use some sawdust again we'll throw on top as well to try and mix in and fill up the gaps, and that should be that glued in place, and it'll block up that middle pickup cavity, as I said, which we're not going to use. So we'll just glue that all in now. As I said, and we're using quite a lot of glue just because we wanted to run up the edges, so when we put our sawdust in, it helps fill in that gap. some glue at the bottom of the cavity. And on all sides of this piece. Oops. Now, that's not going to go anywhere, so we're just going to take a handful of sawdust and rub it all in around the edges. Just like that. That should help fill in any gaps. So again, we'll leave this to dry overnight probably, and we'll come back to it then and do what we did with the other parts. We'll cut the top down and sand it all flush, and we'll, as I said, we'll drill through then again our access hole that we'll need for wiring up the pickups. So that's that section plugged, and you might just be able to make out here we've got some little gaps. So again, we're just going to pour some glue and sawdust in there to fill those. But what we're going to do next is, if you can just make that out, you see this hole here, that goes all the way through to allow our wiring to go through. So we can hook up our pickups in that. So we're just going to re-drill that now, just through that center block there, so we can keep our wiring going. Then we're going to come back and do our little bit of filling and keep moving on from there. So that's that hole drilled through. Don't know if you can make it out there. Yes, you can see it just goes all the way through there. So that goes through here, through this block and through here to allow us to get all our wiring straight through.